Let's get right into it. Number 8. The Great Sparrow War. The Great Sparrow War, or how killing birds led to one of history's biggest disasters. Imagine you're sitting at home, annoyed by a noisy neighbor, so you decide to get rid of them, but then you find out they were actually keeping an entire biker gang away from your neighborhood. That's basically what happened in China in 1958. Mao Zedong, China's leader at the time, looked at sparrows and thought these little thieves are eating all our grain, so he declared war on them. He literally mobilized an entire nation to kill these birds. The campaign was called the Four Pests Campaign, targeting rats, flies, mosquitoes, and sparrows, but the sparrows got special treatment. Millions of people were banging pots and pans, waving flags, and making so much noise that sparrows couldn't land. The birds would literally fall from the sky from exhaustion. People would climb trees to destroy nests, break eggs, and kill chicks. Kids would use slingshots to shoot down adult birds. They even had sparrow killing competitions with prizes for the highest body count. Within a year, they'd nearly wiped out the sparrow population. Everyone was celebrating their victory over these grain-stealing pests. But then the locusts arrived. What nobody bothered to check was that sparrows don't just eat grain, they mainly eat insects. Without sparrows around, the insect population exploded, particularly locusts, who were now free to munch on crops without any natural predators. It's like firing your security guard because he occasionally steals from the break room, then finding out he was actually stopping a massive robbery every single day. The result was one of the worst famines in human history. An estimated 15 to 55 million people died from starvation. The government eventually had to reverse course and start importing sparrows from the Soviet Union to fix their mistake. And even today, we're still making the same mistake. We're killing off wolves, sharks, and other predators without understanding the massive, catastrophic consequences that will follow. Number 7. The Vasa's Maiden Voyage. It's 1628, and the Swedish king Gustav Adolf wants the most impressive warship ever built. Not just any ship. He wants something that'll make other nations terrified when they see it coming. This thing was supposed to be the iPhone 17 Pro Max of warships, while everyone else was still using carrier pigeons. The king keeps sending letters to the shipbuilders saying, "More cannons, more decorations, make it bigger." The shipbuilders are scratching their heads because they know something the king doesn't. Physics exists. Every time they added more heavy cannons to the top deck, the ship became more unstable. It's like trying to balance an elephant on a pogo stick. Technically possible, but probably not going to end well. The shipbuilders actually did a stability test, where they had 30 sailors run back and forth across the deck. After just 3 runs, the ship was wobbling so much they had to stop the test. But they didn't tell the king. Nobody wanted to be the guy who says, "Hey, your super expensive dream ship might be a floating disaster." Launch day comes, and everyone's excited to see this beast set sail. The Vasa pushes off from the dock, and the crowd is in awe. This thing is gorgeous, covered in gold and fancy carvings. Then a light breeze comes along, not even strong enough to blow out a birthday candle. The ship tilts slightly to one side, water starts pouring in through the open cannon ports, and the Pride of Sweden tips over and sinks. It sank less than a mile into its maiden voyage, in full view of basically the entire city of Stockholm. They spent 2 years and a fortune building something, only to watch it fail spectacularly in about 20 minutes. And the best part is we keep doing this exact same thing today. Every time some billionaire or CEO wants to build the biggest, fanciest, whatever, basic physics and engineering get thrown out the window in favor of ego. The Vasa stayed underwater for 333 years, until they finally fished it out in 1961. Now it sits in a museum, perfectly preserved, as a reminder that maybe we should listen to engineers instead of egos. And in a final twist of irony, the museum built to house the Vasa started sinking too, because they didn't properly account for the weight of a giant waterlogged warship. Number 6. The Maginot Line Fallacy. You're France in the 1930s. You just got through World War I, which was basically 4 years of getting punched in the face by Germany. So you think, hey, I've got a brilliant idea. Let's build the mother of all walls. The Maginot Line was like the Death Star of defensive fortifications, underground bunkers, artillery positions, air conditioning, and even underground railways. They built barracks complete with theaters and restaurants. These guys weren't messing around. The French were so proud of this thing, they literally gave tours to journalists. It was like the world's deadliest tourist attraction. The Germans took one look at this massive wall and thought, neat, we'll just go around it. And that's exactly what they did. They went through Belgium's Ardennes forest, a route the French high command had dismissed as impassable for tanks. The French learned the wrong lesson. They prepared for the last war instead of the next one. You'd think we'd learn, but we just keep hitting the repeat button. Take the Iraq War. The US built the world's most powerful conventional army, designed to fight another massive state military. military. Meanwhile, the insurgents were like, "Cool tanks, bro. We'll just use cheap improvised explosive devices and hide among civilians." Or look at cybersecurity today. A company spends millions on a complex firewall while hackers just send Bob an accounting a phishing email to get the password. It's like building a fortress with 50-foot walls but leaving the back door open, because that's where you get your Amazon deliveries. The pattern is always the same. We build these massive, expensive defenses against the last threat, while our opponents just find a new and simpler way around them. Number 5. The neighborhood built on poison. It's the 1950s, and a property developer scores the deal of the century. They bought a huge piece of land near Niagara Falls for just $1. That's less than a candy bar today. There was just one catch. The land was sitting on top of 22,000 tons of toxic waste. You see, this land used to belong to Hooker Chemical Company, and they'd been using an unfinished canal as their personal toxic waste dump for decades. When they sold it to the school board, they put a warning in the deed saying, "Hey, this place is basically a toxic waste sandwich. Don't dig, but money talks, and warnings walk." The board saw dollar signs and decided to build an entire neighborhood there, complete with an elementary school right on top of the chemical dump. Fast forward a few years, and things got weird. After heavy rains, the ground started oozing black goo. Kids came home from playing outside with chemical burns on their feet. Trees and plants refused to grow, and then the residents started noticing alarmingly high rates of cancer and birth defects. This wasn't just a one-time thing. The formula is always the same. 1. Chemical company has toxic waste it needs to dump. 2. Sells the land for a suspiciously cheap price. 3. Developer or city official sees profit and ignores the warnings. 4. People move in. 5. Everyone acts surprised when their basements fill up with poison. The neighborhood, known as Love Canal, eventually had to be evacuated, becoming one of America's most infamous environmental disasters. But the pattern continues. In 2019, a developer in New Jersey bought an old DuPont site for cheap, only to find it was a toxic nightmare. We never learn that if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably has deadly chemicals buried underneath it. Number 4. Disaster tourism. Picture this. It's 1755 in Lisbon, Portugal. A massive earthquake, one of the biggest in European history, has just leveled the city. Buildings are falling, people are panicking, and the world is ending. Thousands of survivors look around at the destruction and decide the safest place to be is the open space on the coast. But when they get there, they notice something strange. The ocean has pulled way back, exposing the seafloor with shipwrecks and forgotten debris, so everyone's standing there, marveling at this bizarre sight. Then comes the tsunami, a wall of water higher than a 5-story building plowed into the shore, wiping out the crowd of curious onlookers. We keep making the same mistake. 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. People saw the water recede and ran to the beach to collect fish and check it out. 2011 Japan tsunami. Despite sirens and warnings, crowds gathered at the shore to watch the weird ocean. But it's not just tsunamis. It's like we're all moths drawn to a really dangerous flame. In 1917, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, a ship packed with enough explosives to level a small city caught fire in the harbor. Instead of running away, people gathered to watch. They stood on the docks, in their homes, at their office windows, getting front row seats to what became the biggest man-made, non-nuclear explosion in history. 2020 Beirut, a warehouse full of ammonium nitrate caught fire. Instead of evacuating, people stood on their balconies filming for social media right up until the massive shockwave blew them away. Scientists call this disaster tourism. For nearly 300 years, humans have been reliably making the same exact mistake, risking death for a good view. Number 3. Smokey Bear's terrible secret. Imagine you're a helicopter pilot flying over a forest fire in California. The flames below you are taller than skyscrapers. The smoke is so thick it turns day into night. You can thank Smokey Bear for that. Back in 1944, the Forest Service created a cute mascot with one simple message: only you can prevent forest fires. It seemed like common sense. Fires are bad, so stopping all fires must be good. But here's where it gets terrifying. Forests need to be cleaned. Small, naturally occurring fires are nature's way of vacuuming up dead leaves, fallen branches, and other fuel from the forest floor. When you prevent all fires, you're basically letting that fuel pile up for decades. It's like never cleaning under your bed and just letting the dust bunnies accumulate until they become a fire hazard. For 70 years, we got really good at stopping fires. We stopped about 98% of them, and every year, more and more dead wood piled up. We were unknowingly building the world's biggest bonfire. Now, when a fire does start, it's not just burning a few leaves, it's burning 70 years worth of accumulated fuel. We get mega fires that create their own weather systems and burn so hot they can melt cars half a mile away. The irony is that many trees, like the giant sequoia, evolved to need fire. Some pine cones won't even open to release their seeds without the heat from a fire. So by protecting the forest, we've actually made it sick and primed it for cataclysm. Scientists figured this out in the 1960s, but by then, Smokey Bear had done his job too well. Try telling the public that we need to let some forests burn. They'll look at you like you're a pyromaniac. So here we are, dealing with fires hot enough to sterilize soil and vaporize entire forests, all thanks to a well-intentioned bear in a ranger hat. Number 2. The Dam That Wept. Imagine you're living in a small town below a massive new dam. One day, someone notices water trickling down the dam's face. The locals start to worry, but the dam's designer shows up for an inspection. He takes one look and says, "Everything's perfectly fine." A few hours later, the dam collapses. A wall of water 60 feet high wipes out the entire town, killing 2,209 people. This isn't a made-up story. This is exactly what happened at the South Fork Dam in Pennsylvania in 1889. The designer declared it safe just hours before it failed. We keep making the same mistake. In 1963, the Vasa Dam in Italy started showing massive warning signs. A whole mountainside was slowly sliding into the reservoir. The engineers insisted everything was fine. Then the landslide happened, displacing a giant wave that went over the top of the dam and killed 2,000 people in the valley below. In 1975, the Banqiao Dam in China, nicknamed the Iron Dam, started leaking during a record-breaking typhoon. The experts said it was perfectly safe. That night, it collapsed, killing an estimated 171,000 people. The pattern is always the same. The dam weeps, the experts say it's fine, and disaster follows. Why? Because the people who built the dam are the ones who profit most from saying everything is okay. It's like asking a car salesman if that weird noise in the engine is serious. More recently, in 2017, the Oroville Dam in California started showing catastrophic signs of failure. The authorities kept saying it was safe, until they suddenly had to evacuate 188,000 people. Luckily, that one held. But right now, there are over 15,000 dams in the US, classified as high hazard, many of them showing the same warning signs. Number 1. The Chernobyl Pattern. Imagine you're doing maintenance on your car, but instead of following the manual, you decide to test how far you can push the engine after disabling all the warning lights and safety sensors. That's basically what happened at Chernobyl. The engineers were running a safety test, and they turned off the safety systems to do it. That's like removing your seatbelt to test how well your airbags work. When things started going wrong, when the reactor's temperature began to skyrocket, they didn't hit the emergency shutdown button. They kept pushing. When they finally did hit the button, it was too late. A design flaw meant that hitting the shutdown button briefly caused a power surge. The reactor exploded. Instead of immediately evacuating the nearby city of Pripyat, officials were like, "This is fine." They cut the phone lines and ordered people to stay inside, telling them a small fire had been contained. This wasn't the last time this happened. Take Fukushima. Different decade, same story. Officials knew the seawall protecting the plant was too low to stop a major tsunami, but they were like, "Nah, it'll be fine." It was not fine. Or 3 Mile Island. When radiation alarms went off, operators assumed their own instruments were wrong, because obviously, the machine designed to detect a problem must be broken, not the multi-million-dollar reactor. Every single major nuclear accident in history follows the same steps. 1. Someone gets overconfident and ignores safety protocols. 2. Warning signs pop up. 3. Everyone pretends everything's fine. 4. Disaster happens. 5. Officials deny there's a problem until they can't anymore. It's like watching the same horror movie over and over, where the characters always decide to split up in the dark house. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.